What's up, guys? It's TBZ. It's my first ever YouTube video. I've been wanting to make this channel for a while, and I'm finally putting my foot down, and I'm starting it today. NFL draft was last night, so I got something to talk about, and it was pretty crazy. Before we get started in this video, I just want to make it clear that I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, as you can see by the Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers jerseys behind me. Also got a Dez jersey there. Shout out Dez. Hopefully he comes back. Probably won't, but let's get right back onto the topic of the NFL draft. Now, I'm going to have some probably raw emotion for the Green Bay Packers pick, just because a lot of you already know what happened and who they selected. I'll get to it later in the video. I'm going to go pick by pick for most of these. Some of them I might speed it up, and then I'm going to give some of my draft grades. But with that said, let's get right into it. So starting off here, let's start from the very top. Joe Burrow picked number 1 overall by the Bengals. Not a big surprise. In my mock draft, I had him going number 1. As for, do I think he's going to be the top quarterback when it's all said and done? No, I really think Justin Herbert's the best quarterback out of Oregon. A lot of people like Tua, but between those two, I think they're quite a bit ahead of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had one good year in college. I think he might be a bit of a fluke. Last time we saw a quarterback come out of LSU, that was Jamarcus Russell. He was a bust. Now they're completely different players. Joe Burrow's more mobile. He's more athletic than Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell just had a good arm, so I'm not going to compare the two. But I do want to say that I think Joe Burrow's going to be a solid quarterback. I think he'll be... I'd say like Carson Wentz is right now. Maybe a little bit. With Dak Prescott's a good comparison, where he's a solid quarterback, but he's not winning any awards. He'll maybe make the Pro Bowl a few times, but he's not going to be legendary like the other two. First round pick. As a first overall pick, I'm going to grade this pick for the Bengals. I think I'm going to say a B plus maybe. We'll leave it at that. A tier for me is the superstar category of things, the best players, the Hall of Famers. That's where I put A plus picks. Or if a team just really tapped into a need, that would be an A plus pick. I think the Bengals tapped into a need. I think it's got to be, I'd say B plus. I think they got a good quarterback here. Moving on to the second pick, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, DN out of Ohio State. This man is a beast. Everything you want in a pass rusher, he's got all the intangibles. He's could be the best player in this draft. Low power modes. Could very well be the best player in this draft. A lot of people have him as the best. It's going to be tough to say. He has Hall of Fame potential. He reminds me a lot of Zadarius Smith and how he played this year with the extremely rough and fast pass rush, but even more like Jadeveon Clowney or Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack is a bit different because he can shift around. I'd compare him more to Clowney, but Jadeveon Clowney's a beast of a player, former first overall pick, and I think Chase Young definitely almost mirrors him, and that's just his starting plate. That's not even his potential. His potential is best pass rusher of all time. Like, we're talking Lawrence Taylor, we're talking Deacon Jones, we're talking Julius Peppers, Reggie White, we're talking that type of tier because he's got that much potential, and he's already that good. Moving on to the third overall pick, the Detroit Lions select Jeff Okudah. I'm going to make this one short and sweet. They got rid of Darius Slay. They acquired Desmond Trufant, a veteran for the Falcons, which should definitely help Okudah, although he's pretty much NFL ready as well. And so I think he goes into a system with a defensive-minded head coach in Matt Patricia. He's former defensive coordinator of the championship Patriots teams. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to that. Is he the best head coach? Maybe not, but I think this is a really good pick for them. It bolsters their secondary, and when you got a guy like Jeff Okudah who's similar to Jalen Ramsey when he was in the draft, that cornerback who's just already ready to come in the league and make some havoc, I mean, he was the perfect pick for them, and I really like this pick for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to give this pick an A-. I'm also going to give Chase Young an A-. I think both these guys got Hall of Fame potential. I think both of them are already league ready. And watch out for them next year because Defensive Rookie of the Year, these two are going to be in a dogfight for it for sure. So my mock draft was perfect until this pick. I did have the Giants take an offensive lineman. I had Jedrick Wills as their pick. Now my number 1 ranked tackle in my mock draft was Tristan Wirfs. I didn't think they'd pick him. I really felt strongly that they would go with Wills. I didn't see them going defense, although Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons might have had better potential, might be better players, but I went O-line. Surprisingly, though, they go with Andrew Thomas, the big man out of Georgia. Now, Georgia's my college football team. I don't really watch college football, so I kind of bounce around depending on what players I like a Cal I like sometimes. The next day I could like Georgia or like Clemson. I'm a bandwagon in college football because I don't really watch it. I just attach to players that I like. And so Justin Herbert this year played at Oregon. He's been my favorite prospect for the last 2 years. I attached to them. And I did watch a little bit of Georgia's games just because I like Jake Fromm as well. And Andrew Thomas did a really good job of protecting him. He does have a lot of weaknesses that maybe Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills don't have, like the athleticism. Andrew Thomas is more of a big stuff guy. If you're comparing him to someone in the NFL on the offensive line, he's got a bit of Jason Peters in him where he's like a later on Jason Peters. We're not talking prime Jason Peters. We're talking a guy who's just there. He does his job. He's a big force. He doesn't let anyone through. Jason Peters in his prime was super athletic. And so this pick, I'm not really sure about it. I'm going to give this one a C. Not the best offensive lineman on the board. They needed an offensive lineman, so that definitely helps. Andrew Thomas really needs to work on recovering when a player does get by him. So, example, him and Chase Young, say they were going up against each other, and Chase Young got an edge on him. His ability to get back and re-block and make sure that he doesn't get to his quarterback is something he really needs to work on. And especially with a young quarterback like Daniel Jones, he needs to make sure he can perfect that. I think if he does that, he's going to be a really solid tackle in this league for years to come. Moving on to the 5th pick. Kind of a mystery in this one as to what the Dolphins would do. I did get this pick right in my mock draft. Tua Tagovailoa. I hope I said that right. Tricky name to pronounce. Not even going to try and say the real full name because that's a mess. Similar to Vita Vea's name from 2 years ago. That was a mess as well. But Tua, injury problems, they're there. But I would not pass on him because of that. I call this the Michael Porter Jr. theory. A guy who was the #1 ranked player by a long shot, got injured, and that really affected his draft stock. He dropped to 12 in the NBA draft. And he's actually looking solid in the NBA. Hasn't really lived up to his full potential yet, but in my eyes, don't pass on a guy because of an injury. You look at other guys from a few years back, like Jalen Smith. He fell all the way, I think, into the 3rd or 2nd round because of a bad ACL tear when he played at Notre Dame. And look at him now. He's one of the top linebackers in the game, and he's balling out in Dallas. They got an extremely good pick in him. Same with Jacksonville. Miles Jack was projected even to be in the top 5 at points. He had a bad injury at UCLA. He dropped to the 2nd round. He's been a really solid middle linebacker for them as well. So the injury theory, I get the concern, but Tua, I think he was cleared. I saw a tweet about it, so I'm not 100% on that. But I think you have to draft based on talent. Tua has that talent. He is Super Bowl type talent. He has Hall of Fame type talent. And I really think there's 4 guys in the top 10, even 5, that really possess that Hall of Fame type talent. This is an A pick for me. I'm not going to call it an A+, but definitely a pick that the Dolphins needed to make, and we'll see if it benefits them and if he can stay healthy. Moving on to the 6th pick, my favorite pick in the draft, Justin Herbert. I've studied this guy for years. He's phenomenal. He really shows Aaron Rodgers type athleticism, and that's rare. Being able to stay alive in the pocket and then move outside the pocket and still make plays. One of his weaknesses is getting rid of the ball in time. Now, I don't see that as much of a problem because you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes that can make magic by hanging on to the ball for longer. So I don't really think that's a problem. That was the only thing I saw out of his game. He's athletic. He can scramble when he needs to. He's not Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson or even close to those guys, but he's got that Carson Wentz type play. And that's the guy I'm even going to compare him to for now is Carson Wentz, where he can make moves and he understands offenses. And he's a really good teammate. I mean, Justin Herbert's the whole package. This pick for me is one of my 3 A+ that I'm handing out. Chargers needed a quarterback. They have an already phenomenal system with Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams. And then plus the O-line's really good with Trey Turner and Brian Bulaga, Mike Pouncey. So he's going into an already ready system. Plus, he's got a good defense behind him. This pick is a match made in heaven for me. I think the LA Chargers knocked it on the head. I may have said San Diego back there. I've just always called him San Diego. I grew up in the San Diego era, so don't judge me based on that, but yeah. Moving on to the 7th pick in the draft, Carolina Panthers were on the board, and they decided to select Derrick Brown. Now, a lot of people have hype for Derrick Brown. He's a great defensive lineman. He's shown a lot of potential. Although his last few games of the season weren't that good, he's still a great player, and I think he's going to do well in the league, especially being mentored by Kawann Short, the Pro Bowler, who's already in Carolina. He's a phenomenal D lineman. I think having a mentor like that is something that every player in the NFL needs. That's why also the Herbert pick before this, Herbert having Tyrod Taylor, and even Joe Burrow having Andy Dalton to lean on and get some help from, I think that is huge for NFL players. And I really think this is a great system for Derrick Brown, especially with the Carolina Panthers needing to upgrade on defense after losing guys like Bradbury and Luke Kuechly due to retirement and signing somewhere else. They also lost Mario Addison and Vernon Butler Jr. on defense on that defensive line. So they needed to do something on defense. They made this pick. I really thought they could go Isaiah Simmons as well. They drafted Brian Burns last year, who's a similar player. Simmons can do more. He's a manimal. He can go anywhere, but I do think this pick is fitting for the Carolina Panthers. I had them taking Simmons because I thought Simmons was the better player, and Matt Rule, their new coach, really likes a guy that can play multiple positions, and so that's why I thought that they would go ahead and select Simmons. They took Brown. I'm going to give this pick B-. I think he's going to be a solid NFL player, maybe makes a Pro Bowl. I think he's going to be a long-time Carolina Panther, and he's really going to fill in nicely, but I don't see anything superstar potential from him. He's going to be a good player, though. Moving on to the 8th pick, the Arizona Cardinals, who have had one heck of an offseason, make one of the best picks in the draft. Once again, they are a playoff team next year. You can mark my words on that. They take Isaiah Simmons to pair alongside Chandler Jones on that defense, which is, quarterbacks are going to have a problem there. Now, they did need D-line, and Derrick Brown probably would have been more fitting for them, but they need defense. And so Isaiah Simmons, who can play safety, he can play linebacker, he can play middle linebacker, he can play DN, he can play all over the map. He's even played slot corner. This man can do everything. This is an A+, knocked out of the park pick for me. He reminds me a lot of Khalil Mack, a guy that can just do absolute everything, punish your quarterback, play coverage. He's a multiple position guy. I really like this pick for the Cardinals, and I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be multiple-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro, and I think he's got Hall of Fame potential. His upside is phenomenal. Moving on to the 9th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars take a weird one, C.J. Henderson. Now, I'm not saying C.J. Henderson's a bad player because he's a really good cornerback. Had 0 interceptions this year. He was better last year. If he would have entered the draft, his stock would have been higher. I do think this is a good pick for them. They got rid of A.J. Boye. They traded away Jalen Ramsey last year. They have no one in the secondary. Just name someone for me. I don't think you could. I know one guy, DJ Hayden. That's just because I know. But for sure, this pick makes tons of sense for them. I thought they might go O-line to bolster that part. They got Linder and they got Norwell, who are two solid players on that O-line, but they decided to go defense. I understand the pick. I'm going to give this one a C+. I think that C.J. Henderson's going to be a solid corner. He's going to be kind of a Malcolm Butler guy where he floats around and he does his job really well, but he's not going to be anything superstar-esque. Maybe makes a Pro Bowl, but I think he's going to be a solid corner, just nothing to the extreme. But the Jaguars really needed a pick there, and I think that's why this fits. Final pick of the top 10 before I dive in on some of my spectacular picks of the round, some of my busts for the round. I won't go through every pick. I'll probably make it a bit quicker. But we're going to Cleveland for the Cleveland Browns pick. 10th overall, they select Jedrick Wills. This pick, another match made in heaven pick. I think this fits them so well. They needed an offensive lineman. They already signed Conklin, and that may be a problem because they're both left tackles, but Jedrick Wills is so athletic and so good at his position that they can throw him at right tackle and he'll do all the same things. I think he's a better version of Andrew Thomas in that he is able to recover from things, and his ability to pass block is very high level. Jedrick Wills shot up draft boards at the end of the year. I even had him going to the Giants. He's my number 2 on my draft board. If you're looking for a guy that's going to be able to do everything as an offensive lineman, you take Jedrick Wills. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler. Maybe not Joe Thomas or Mitchell Schwartz, Cleveland. I'm not going to go that far to say he's one of those top guys, but I do think he's going to be really solid in your offensive line, and I think him being alongside Treader and Bitonio and Conklin, I think you got a Pro Bowler to come. Don't know if I can call him an All-Pro, but I think he'll be a solid guy that definitely does his job well and can be in that considered in that top category of offensive tackles. So now that we're done the top 10, I'm going to go into a new segment of this called Bust, Equal, and Star. So just because I say a guy's a star doesn't mean he's going to be a superstar, but I'm going to rank them based on how well each team did and what I think the player's potential is. So the Jets, they selected Mekhi Brown, offensive lineman out of Louisville. Big man, he's a punisher. I think this is an equal pick. They needed someone for Sam Darnold. They're going to bring him in. I think he does well on this offensive line. Equal. I don't think he's going to be a superstar. Don't think he's going to be terrible. I think he fits. The Oakland Raiders select Henry Ruggs. I think this is an equal pick. I think they needed a wide receiver. I think he fits really well into Gruden's system. He's everything they wanted. They get what they wanted. They get what they needed. He's a great player. Henry Ruggs is an equal. He's the 3rd best wide receiver in this class, but he's a really good player, and that still keeps him at an equal. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they select the best offensive tackle in this draft, best offensive lineman in this draft in Tristan Wirfs. Freak athleticism. This is a superstar pick, even above the tier of star. This guy's going to be an all-pro, Pro Bowler. He's got the chance to do Orlando Pace things and be that type of Hall of Famer. He's that good. Brady's got a keeper, and the Buccaneers just keep getting better and better, and it makes me mad. Yeah. The 49ers select Javon Kinlaw. Great story. I really do like this guy's story. But I have to compare him to DeForest Buckner here. If we're comparing him to Buckner, I think he's going to be a bust compared to that because he can't fill Buckner's shoes. Buckner's that good. And trading him away for Kinlaw, cheaper option. I get the theory 100%. But I just think he can't live up to that. I'm going to say he's an equal because they needed to fill the position, but compared to Buckner, I just don't think he can live up to that. The Denver Broncos select Jerry Jeudy. This is a star pick. This man is a phenomenal player, my best receiver in the class. A lot of people like CeeDee Lamb over him. I think Jerry Jeudy's mix of speed and his ability to play in the slot is phenomenal. The threat of Cortland Sutton deep, and then him in the short passing game. Then you also got Noah Fant. I mean, Drew Lock's going to have a heyday with those guys. Plus, he's got 2 running backs in Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon, who are both Pro Bowlers. I mean, the Broncos are a playoff team next year as well. This pick fits them so well. Star pick for me. A.J. Terrell to the Falcons. Now, I had this man going 30th overall. I had Trayvon Diggs ranked ahead of him as well. Jeff Gladney and him, I probably had them in a tie. This is a bust pick. Falcons needed secondary, but I really think you bit the bullet on him and chose him too high. I don't get this pick just for the fact that you had a better options at corner. And if you really wanted to go all in, you could have traded up for Henderson or even tried for Okudah. I think they did, and Detroit didn't want to trade that. I don't think A.J. Terrell is going to be anything special. This is a bust for me. Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb. This is an easy one. Star. He's going to be going into a group of 2 other great wide receivers in Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. Dak Prescott's going to have a heyday with this guy. He's a phenomenal receiver. I can't say much more about him. This is a star pick. He's everything the Cowboys needed and wanted. I did not expect him to drop that far either, just to be clear. The Miami Dolphins select Austin Jackson. I don't really like him as a player. Does he fit? Yeah, I'm going to put an equal here. Same with Mekhi Becton. I think he's got some kinks he needs to work out. If he can, then maybe he fits in the star category. We're just going to put him in equal because the Dolphins really desperately needed offensive line after losing Tunsil, and this will definitely help them out. The Oakland Raiders select Damon Arnette. This one came out of nowhere. This is Jeffrey Okudah's mirror man from the other side of the field. He definitely was underlooked because he's playing with Jeffrey Okudah. I mean, if you're playing with someone that good, you're not going to be looked at even close to the other guy because he's just that good. This is a bust pick for me. Oakland needed secondary, but I think it's too much of it's really a risk-reward pick, and I think the risk is too high. I don't see him coming out good. I think he's Eli Apple, DeQuiz Denard. I think he's I can't see anything special happening with this kid. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Clavon Chasen, and I'm not even sure if that's how you say his name, but Chasen, really good player at LSU, came on in the second half of the year and was really good in the playoffs. I like this pick. I'm going to put him at equal. I think he fits well with Josh Allen. That pass rush is going to be really nice, and especially when you got a good coverage guy like Myles Jack to hang back. These guys are going to be able to feast all day on quarterbacks. I think it fits, but I'm not sure about him. He's kind of like Joe Burrow on the defensive side of the ball and just happened to also go to LSU. So, equal pick for me. The Philadelphia Eagles get an A-plus player, Jalen Reagor. Now, this man is Tyreek Hill up and down. You could say Henry Ruggs is Tyreek Hill. I think Jalen Reagor is even better. He can punt return, kick return. He's got the special teams on lockdown. He's speedy. He's got a 40-inch vertical, I think. That could be wrong. Fact check me on that. But I think he's got a 40-inch. He can jump up and contest balls. And he is one of those guys who can just go in and aggressive catch all the time. You think in Madden, spamming that aggro catch button, Jalen Reagor aggro catches every time. He goes in and he fights for the football, and it seems like he comes down with it a lot of times. He does got to put a little bit of muscle on, a little bit more strength, but I think Jalen Reagor is an A-plus prospect, and I see Tyreek Hill written up and down all over this guy. So Jalen Reagor is an A-plus. Eagles hit it out of the park on this one. This is superstar tier as well, I would say. The Minnesota Vikings select Justin Jefferson out of LSU, another LSU player, kind of getting sick of them, but there's a lot of them in this draft. Thaddeus Moss is also in this draft. Shout out Randy Moss's son. But yeah, this pick, I would say it's an equal, could be a star pick. Justin Jefferson's a great player. I think either him or Burrow are going to fall because he's a good wide receiver. Burrow's a good quarterback. And I do think that part of the success that LSU had fell more on one player's shoulders. I guess we're going to have to see in the NFL how that translates. I think he's a solid player. Replaces Stephon Diggs. He's going to do his job. I do like this pick. I think he's going to be better than Laquan Treadwell. So, Vikings fans, you got hope. The Chargers select Kenneth Murray. This is another very good pick. I'm gonna say star. Now, I don't think he's the best linebacker. I think Patrick Queen is better than him, and then Simmons is miles ahead of everyone else, so it's not even close. But the fact that the Chargers didn't have a linebacker, and this fills a void that they needed to fill, means this pick is perfect for them. And that's the reason I got it at star, is because he's going to be so critical to this team's success next year. They got a quarterback, which they needed, and they got a linebacker, which they need. So they filled all voids. And just because of that, I would put him in the star category. I think this pick was really good. Maybe he's not a star player, but I think the pick is worth star. Moving on down the list, New Orleans Saints select Cesar Ruiz. Tragic story about him and his father. You can search it up if you want. I don't really want to tell it on here. But ESPN had a thing on it yesterday, so you can go and check it out there. This pick doesn't make sense to me. Now, the Saints, they don't have a lot of places that they need to fill. I did really think they needed a wide receiver. That did not sound right. Now, the Saints, they really didn't have a lot of positions that they needed to fill. They could have used a wide receiver. They were looking at a Justin Jefferson. He got picked, and so they didn't have that choice. But you just drafted Eric McCoy at center a few years ago, and he's looked very good so far. So is Cesar Ruiz just going to be a backup the whole time? You can't put him at guard. You got Larry Warford on one side, and then on the other side, you got Andres Pete, who is a Pro Bowler. So I don't know what you do here. And then even if you tried to put him at tackle, you couldn't because you got Ramczyk and Armstead. This pick doesn't make any sense to me. I think this is a bust pick. Love the story or that he made it to the NFL through such a tragedy. I don't love the tragedy. It's really a tough story to watch, so just going to advise you now, if you're going to go check that out, that it's a tearjerker for sure. But this is not a good pick for me. This is bust. we're getting close to one of the picks that I'm really excited to rant on. But let's go to the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. Similar to N'Keal Harry from last year, they're actually very similar players. And it's funny that they both go near the end of the first round to a team that was in the Super Bowl the year before. I think that the Niners hit it well on this. I think this is an equal pick. Don't think Brandon Ayuk was the best option here. I think Mims might be a little bit better, and T. Higgins is definitely better. And so just for those reasons, I'm going to put them at equal. But they needed someone to help out Deebo Samuel in that wide receiver core, and then they got Kittle at tight end, so you don't even got to worry about that. But for sure, this is an equal pick because they needed it, and it's going to help them a lot, I think. Not sure how good he's going to be, but it fills a void for sure. If I'm honestly going to be on it, the next pick is my Green Bay Packers. This is where things get a little heated, a little biased. I'm giving my full on. This has all been biased this draft. This pick, this may be a little fandom will play into this. The Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. First impressions of Jordan Love, I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in this draft. My rankings were Herbert 1, Tua 2, and that's by a small margin. Burrow 3, Jake Fromm 4, Jalen Hurts 5, and then Jordan Love 6. I want to make a disclaimer here. I hope he becomes the next Aaron Rodgers, better than Aaron Rodgers. I really hope. As a fan, as a fan of football and a Packers fan, I really hope that for him. But when you have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who is the greatest of all time as it pertains to talent, the throws, the movements, everything he does, the clutch gene, which people say he doesn't have, but go back and watch his late game drives and the plays he makes. Aaron Rodgers is bar none the greatest quarterback I've ever watched play. Most accomplished, that's Tom Brady. I'll give that to you. But Tom Brady has not done things that Aaron Rodgers has done. And I think Patrick Mahomes is on the way to passing both of them. Tom Brady in his prime, very solid player. He's top 5 for sure. But Aaron Rodgers is a whole different story. And this man is still good. Aaron Rodgers is still a very good player. He was a Pro Bowler last year. He threw for 4,000 yards. He only had 4 interceptions. Hasn't had a double-digit interception season since 2010. And in 2010, he won a Super Bowl. He's that good. And he's got 4 years left on his deal. 4 years. So you're going to sit Jordan Love for 4 years. First of all, that hurts Jordan Love because he won't have the chance to flourish. Because I can guarantee you that Aaron Rodgers, he's going to depreciate, but he's going to be the starting quarterback for the next 4 years. 2 of those years, I guarantee a Pro Bowl. I won't say All-Pro. I won't say MVP. I won't say Super Bowl. He, though, will be a Pro Bowler at least twice. He's that good. He made it to an NFC Championship last year. Now, you could say the defense carried him. You could say Davante Adams carried him. You could say Aaron Jones' run attack carried him. But it just drives me nuts, absolutely nuts, that they would pick a quarterback in this spot. Because you have the greatest of all time in Aaron Rodgers. And you're going to pick over top of him. How does that even make sense? You were a game away. You could have taken anyone else and I would have been fine with it. You need a receiver. Devin Funchess is good, but he doesn't have potential anymore. Davante Adams is one of the best in the game. He's top 5 for sure. So you got him. Sternberger at tight end, I like him. I think he's going to be a solid tight end. But you need another receiver. T. Higgins is on the board. Denzel Mims is on the board. And you're just going to pass those 2 up. I don't understand this pick at all. This is a bust pick for me because he's going to sit behind Aaron Rodgers, and then when Aaron Rodgers is done, he's not going to want to play there anymore, and usually a rookie contract is 4 years, and so after his contract's done, well, what's he going to do? He's going to leave. He hasn't been given his opportunity. He's going to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years, and Aaron Rodgers is going to run the show, and the reason that I just don't understand it. One of the arguments that people are making is, Well, they need a quarterback, and look at like Brett Favre. When he was 35, the Packers picked Aaron Rodgers. The only difference is Aaron Rodgers was ranked number 1 at times. He was seen as the number 1 overall pick at times. He was that good at Cal. He was really that good. And so, for that reason, when he dropped all the way down the draft, miraculously, because he was a top 5 prospect, and you have the chance to pick him at 24, you're going to pick him because he's that good. And you might need a quarterback in the future. It was just the perfect scenario. This is different because Jordan Love is a second-round prospect. You could even put him in the 3rd round. And you traded up in the 1st round when the 4 teams ahead of them didn't even need a quarterback. They wouldn't have picked him. Maybe they're trying to steal him from the Bears in the later rounds, which is kind of, I wouldn't understand that still. Aaron Rodgers slipped. Aaron Rodgers was a top-tier talent. Jordan Love, no, he's a late 1st round, 2nd rounder. I wouldn't even say late 1st round, 2nd round, even 3rd round. Because he's not that good. 20 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That's Jameis Winston numbers. His team wasn't good. Now you could say 3 offensive coordinators. Oh, you didn't have any weapons. Aaron Rodgers hasn't really had any weapons. He's had basically 1 good receiver every year since he won the Super Bowl. And maybe that shows why he hasn't been able to do anything, because he just doesn't have weapons. The 1 year, Jordy Nelson was injured. He had a fat Eddie Lacy, an injury-prone Davante Adams who couldn't catch the ball at that point, and his only player that he could go to was Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb. And so, first, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had. I may be stealing Stephen A here because I was watching First Take. All these opinions beforehand, that's off me. Stephen A made a point that said Aaron Rodgers has never had an offensive player picked in the 1st round. And that is true. The Green Bay Packers have never given him anything. They tried with Jimmy Graham. He was washed up. Jimmy Graham's still one of my favorites. And maybe it's because they've had more success with players in the later rounds. Aaron Jones, Eddie Lacy when he was good, Davante Adams, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb going from QB to wide receiver. Yeah, those guys they had success with. And maybe that's just their theory. But you don't go and take a position you don't need when you are that close to being a championship team and you're already going to be good again next year. You're not rebuilding for at least another 3 to 4 years. And you're going to have this kid wait 3 to 4 years to play. I can't believe the pick here. This is such a frustrating pick for sure. So after that rant, now we're going to move on to the Seahawks pick. I thought the Seahawks guaranteed were going to take Utah Gross Meadows, if that's how you say his name. I thought he was a slam dunk. That's who I had in my mock. Instead, they go and take Jordan Brooks. Don't know much about Jordan Brooks. I don't know why they take a linebacker. They got KJ Wright, Michael Kendricks, Bobby Wagner at middle linebacker. Maybe it's a sign that Clowney isn't coming back. I thought they had other positions that they could have filled, or that they had more need for, and that they could have filled. I think their secondary still needs a lot of help, even though Quentin Dunbar will help. And I think their defensive line, especially DN, needs help. I didn't really understand the pick here. I'm giving this one a bust. And I think I even forgot to say before that Jordan Love's a bust. I think I made it clear. But yeah, so 2 Jordans back-to-back, and I'm picking them as busts back-to-back. So sorry, Seattle. I don't understand this one at all. I don't know much about Jordan Brooks. Maybe he's phenomenal, but he was not even ranked inside of my top 50 players. So no clue here. Ravens select Patrick Queen. This is a star pick, someone they needed, second best linebacker in the draft behind Isaiah Simmons. This pick is everything they needed. Pair him beside Matthew Judon. They just lost Patrick Unwasser, or however you say his name. They lost Josh Bynes. And so this pick slots in perfect. And for a team that really had one need, this is a cash money pick right here. Moving on down another pick to the Tennessee Titans, Isaiah Wilson. I had Josh Jones going here. They needed a tackle. They addressed a need. I think this is an equal pick. Maybe not the best tackle on the board, but they addressed a need. And losing Conklin and then replacing him, I think the Titans did their job here. They don't have a lot of holes either. And so this pick using it on a tackle where you really did need it, I think this is a good pick for the Titans. Miami Dolphins take Noah. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the last name. Indigbohini. That is definitely not how you say it. He's an interesting player. I watched a little bit of film on him. Cornerback, he's solid. They needed a cornerback. I think Gladney would have been a better pick. And Xavier McKinney falling out of the first round. You could have picked a safety. You just released Rashad Jones. I think that would have made way more sense. But they go with the corner here. I get what they're doing. And they also have Xavier Howard. And so it slots in nicely. They also have Byron Jones, though. So it's just kind of a mess there. Maybe they're going to have him slot corner. They also have Bobby McCain, who's digressing for sure. And so, yeah, this is an interesting pick, but the Dolphins need everything, so might as well experiment if you're them. I think McKinney would have been a better pick, but still not terrible. The Vikings pounce once again and select Jeff Gladney. This is a perfect pick for them. They needed someone in the secondary, and Gladney's going to fill a really big void there. I think he's a phenomenal cornerback. Won't put it star. I'll put it equal, although the pick is almost star. He's very close. He's in between. Jeff Gladney, this is a slam dunk for the Vikings. They address another need. The Vikings had a really good draft as well. And so, not liking the Vikings because I'm a Packers fan, and seeing them get a guy in Jeff Gladney and a guy in Justin Jefferson, it doesn't make me feel good. But good on the Vikings. I mean, they had a really good night, I would say. And the final pick in the draft, another shocker. Like, I could see the Chiefs taking a running back, but the fact that it's not DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor or even Travis Estienne blows my mind. Like, they take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, I had to look over at my computer because I never even heard of this guy. I didn't watch any tape on him. He's from LSU, so obviously I caught the slight bit of him when I was watching college football, but I didn't really go in depth like I did with most of the other prospects in the first round. Doesn't really make sense to me. Jonathan Taylor is high class, and DeAndre Swift is high class, and you pass on both of them. I don't understand this pick here. This is a bust pick for me. You also have Damian Williams, but the Chiefs they didn't really have anywhere they needed to fill. And so taking a running back, I thought that was a smart decision. It's just the running back that they did take was not one that I think anyone had on the list at that point. I had them taking A.J. Terrell because they do need help in the secondary after losing Kendall Fuller. But our running back is a fine pick. I just don't think he's that good. Now, I don't know enough about the tape, obviously, so I can't 100% pinpoint that. Maybe he will turn out good. That's with all these. This is just how I see things by watching tape, my view on each player, maybe some bias towards certain individuals. But yeah. Now let's go over some players that slipped out of the first round that I think could be key pickups. Go over this quickly. Xavier McKinney, Denzel Mims, those two are really good. DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor. I think both those guys are very good. AJ Espena. I don't know how to say the last name. He was like a top 5 ranked player coming into this year and really had a tough year at Iowa. I think he's a great player that you could pick up. Ross Blacklock, I think he's a great defensive tackle. He slipped. Good pick. Utah Gross Matos, that I said I thought the Seahawks were slam dunking on him. He slipped out of the first round. Kind of shocked by that. But he'll be a nice pickup as well for whatever team gets him. So those are kind of my players that I could see having an impact. Of course, Jake Fromm and Jalen Hurts are two very good quarterbacks. And whoever gets those two, I think you will have success. I hope the Raiders pick one of them. They got a whole mess at quarterback there. But if they take Jalen Hurts or Jake Fromm, or even the Panthers would be a good situation, or the Buccaneers, where Brady's probably going to retire in 2 to 3 years. And so any team that needs a backup that is willing to take a chance on a guy, I think those two guys would really be worth it. Jacob Eason, I'm not I'm not as high on. But for sure, the other two, Fromm and Hurts, maybe it's just because they were at bigger schools and I watched more tape of them. I did get to see a lot of Jacob Eason, but I'm not really feeling him. Another guy, Laviska Shenault, solid player out of Colorado. Not sure where he's going to go. Maybe Green Bay gets him. I think he's a solid receiver. Any team would be happy to have him, I'm sure, in the second round. So there is my first video, my official draft review. Winners of the day, Minnesota Vikings are a winner for me. The San Diego Chargers are a winner for me. Those are my two winners. My losers, the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears. They didn't have a first-round pick. The Rams, the Bills, you can throw all those guys in there because they didn't have picks. But for the teams that did pick, I think the Packers are massive losers in this one. I think I don't know what they were doing. Say the Chiefs are losers, even though they were at the end of the first round. The Falcons are losers in this one. I didn't like how they drafted. The Saints are losers. And I'd say the 49ers were also winners. They had a really nice draft. But that's my prediction. Thanks for tuning in. Comment down below some sports videos you want to see next. Probably going to be starting a podcast soon here. Make sure to like this video. And thanks to you guys for watching. I'm out.